Hello, everybody. Gail Craft here from the Empowering Process podcast. Welcome. Thank you for joining me today. And we're going to have a conversation with Tina Lyn Fiori. She is a divine alchemist. What does she do? She guides souls to a higher state of consciousness by reflecting a radiant beam of hope that awakens their divine potential. So we're going to talk with Tina about what does this all mean and what does awakening mean to her in her life and where this is going to go. Nobody knows. Come join me. Welcome, Tina. Hey, Tina. So
Hi.
I let everybody know that you're a divine alchemist. And so I don't, there's so many spots where I want to start here and talk. Um, when was it that you realized that that's the kind of work that you're being called to do?
I think that was probably in 2022 when I started doing automatic writing and I started getting a lot of messages. That's when I first started receiving messages for myself and guidance about who I was. And at first I heard the bringer of light and I thought this is a collective, that's working with me. But then fast forward, I realized that I was the bringer of light, that we're all bringers of light. And so I think that that was the beginning of that, wanting to hold people in just divine love and being able to help them experience and see they are that love. It's already in them. So it's just more of an awakening to people's divine potentiality that already exists.
I love that. So explain to a few people who may not know what automatic writing is. I love it. And then I want to talk a little bit about this collective idea. So automatic writing, what is that for those who don't know?
So I didn't know what it was either. I actually was working with a shaman who went into the Akashic records. So if you don't know what Akashic records are, and I know that Gail speaks about them and goes into them, they're the records that are held for all of our lifetimes for everything that exists. And if you want to add to that, but when she went in there, she was talking about an Andromedan woman that had been a mother to me in many lifetimes. And this was the first time I ever heard anything like this. But honestly, I was like, okay. I was expanded out my awareness and ready to receive information to help me be more expansive myself. So I just started to talk to Yael and just said, of course, I say a little prayer, please put the highest light and love around me and anyone that is speaking to me. And that I'm coming in with the purest of light, purest of intentions to hear anything that's for my highest good. And yeah, I got a lot of messages. So I just started writing. And a lot of times you'll feel like these are just thoughts in your own head, just write them, just write them. And the more I would write, the more I would see that I was vibrationally paired to the thought waves, but they were a lot of words that I wouldn't even have known. So I had to look up these words. And that's how I knew someone was speaking to me. And the words had a lot of messaging in them too, and alchemagia actually was one of them. And I'm like, is that even a thing with alchemy, So bringing me back to some really old terms and words. And in my book too, a lot of it is just spoken in older language.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So the languaging words are magic.
Yeah.
They're the first third dimensional step of manifestation and creation. And we are the creators. And yeah, so words, message. Oh my God, there's so much going on here. I don't know. I know, guys, slow down, slow down. Right, we're so excited about all of this. But the words are so important. I'm putting little bits out there right now from a book that I wrote too, that was about the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, and Patterns on the Trestle Board, which are all three the same thing, just using
Mm.
different language to get across to people. And I'm very, very specific with the language I use. And so when I have an editor, I have to have someone who goes through the editing with me
Yes.
so they don't change the languaging that
Yes.
wants to autocorrect.
Yes, very, very important, especially with the messages that I did channel. I was like, none of that can be altered because it's how there's energy to the wording too. And people are getting activations by just reading the way it's spoken, you know. Yeah, so it's very important to not change that and to look it up. And then you start following all the little threads that start to show you, wow, what is this? What is this meaning? And it's so rich and it's so deep. And like you said, when you're in the flow, it's magical. You're in it because you're excited like a little child. You're like, this is so
It
wonderful.
tickles.
It does. It does. Yeah.
Right, right. And so getting there, yes, this was fun. This was exciting. Um, it sparked the curiosity and the childlike wonder. And wonder is why we're here, by the way, right?
Yes.
It's to explore and to experience and to just be the child. But part of being a child is falling down and getting hurt. Part of being a child is learning about the third dimension, right?
Mhm.
Because you're still attached to the consciousness, very, very aware. So, what are some of the challenges that you had to overcome in order to get flow to be part of your everyday existence?
Yeah. I want to answer that, but I think it's so sweet that you talked about the words and you said the wonder. And one of the things was that I channeled was the wondrousness that is you. That's not even wondrousness is not even in our terminology anymore. It's actually been taken out because I looked it up. So I just wanted to say that the wondrousness that is you,
Right.
a word not even being spoken anymore. The challenges that I'm still going through, because this is like an ever evolving me, an ever evolving you. But I it really was stepping into my authenticity. Since I've been a little child, I always had to have this perfection about me, have the makeup done, have the hair done, have the clothes just right, not be playful, not be Tina because it wasn't acceptable. It was too scary to be me. And so I think that one of the biggest challenges really, and especially in my later years, has really been stepping into me. And really, I like it. I like it.
I love it.
I wrote something that said, as soon as I stepped out of my power, I allowed you to step in. That's to anyone, I am stepping fully into my power. And that is such a wonderful place to be. And, and it's not lack of fear, you still may have fear. It's bravery. It's being brave enough and authentic enough to fully be yourself. And so I think that some of the challenges were, especially in my marriage and in my life, just saying, this is who I am. This is what I need. And it's non-negotiable at this point. I will have it because I deserve it, so yeah, so those have been, and just being really honest and open with my children. And I think one of the most important things, Gal, I ever learned was when another person was holding me and just telling me, you are a warrior of love. You love so deeply and you want to heal others, but that is not your job. You are keeping them from evolving. You are keeping them from healing because you are trying to be the healer. Your job is to heal yourself. And so,
My job is to reflect back so that
yeah,
they can go on their journey. I've gotten the same exact message. Right?
Yes,
You're
yes,
not letting them grow if you
mhm,
heal them. Stop.
yes,
Yes.
yes. Yes, and I love that. And absolutely reflect. I have that on my website. Be the love you want to see in the world. Be the light you want to see in the world. We are the reflectors, just like the beautiful little crystal that reflects all of the sunlight that comes through. That's who we are to each other as a collective. And yes, I love that. So healing myself and reflecting out that love, yeah, and it's a good lesson, and I have to keep reminding myself of it. Just stop, come back into alignment. Just stop and let them be who they are, because it really is an evolutionary path.
Sometimes the universe, I can hear us yell at me, stop. And you'll see me like pull back and go, okay, right, right. Because I'll want to just give you a little piece of it, but and the universe is like, no, they need to learn it themselves. I'm like, okay, okay. Right, just sit there smiling nicely. You know,
Yeah.
um, One of the other things that I wrote down here, because you talked about evolving me and an evolving you. And there's this concept, I wrote this down today during another live that I was in, and it's intentional co-creation.
Hmm.
And so let's kind of explore that a little bit from my
Sure.
perspective. We are co-creating.
Hmm.
This is a simulation. I'm an
Yeah,
avatar. This is a simulation. And
absolutely.
every moment, every step, every awareness I am creating. And when we're
Mhm.
together, we're co-creating. And so
Yes.
we've got the words, we were talking about
Hmm.
words are
Yep.
part of that creation process. And if you say a word to me, you are co-creating with me as I take
Hmm.
that word in. And sometimes I have to go, no, that's not a word I want in my on my stage in my play.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about what are some of the things that you do or that you experience during co-creation.
Um, I think you're 100% right about that. Not only are we co-creating, I think we create synergy with that too. So I think that part of that is what we are creating is having a ripple effect out very expansively. Um, so, yeah, I'm not sure where you want me to take that in
Wherever
terms
you want to
of.
go, wherever the universe is pushing you.
Okay. Um, I guess, one of the ways that I like to see that we co-create is like on Diamond Beauties Forever. I think that putting things out on that platform where we see things, you put several things out recently that I just needed to hear. I felt like you were literally like on my wavelength. It's like, okay, she's speaking to me, so that's a way too, where you're just putting things out that are triggering people's thoughts with powerful words and messages that really help kind of, I think, advance my own thinking. But I also agree that I don't want to co-create certain things, stories that maybe I tell myself, stories other people tell me about who I am. I try to be very aware of that. And am I telling the story to someone for my benefit or for theirs? And I'm really trying to do that a lot too. Is it's like, am I helping them or helping me? Because if I'm just saying it for me, it's not helping them. It's just me wanting to talk, about the story I've made up or I want to feel about. So I feel like, yeah. And then you can do that with other people too. You can get involved with gossip and all kinds of stuff that create a negativity that locks people into an energy that starts to build momentum. And I've become very consciously aware of that because I think part of waking up is clarity and seeing yourself from a higher state. And trying to view throughout my day how I'm interacting with people and what energies I'm putting into the world. Because the bottom line is we are energy and our energy is in meshing with each other. And you see that. You can either see a world right now that's destructive and upheaval and is out of control and the worst time to be alive, or you can see a world that people are ascending and they're growing and they're developing, and it's absolutely the best time to be alive. And 100% say it is the best time ever to be alive, because we do have the world wide web of existence. That's what my guides call it. And I love it because we are expanding globally. And now this energy is co-creating an opportunity for people to really think much more expansively. And then we can
Absolutely.
talk about the Akashic records. We can talk about the Pleiadians. We can talk about, dimensional time and space and no time and space. We can talk about dragons. We can talk about all the magnificent things that are happening that we don't realize until we do, until we realize that we're so much more than we ever knew we were.
Or that what we experienced or what we thought someone else has experienced and thought the same thing. So maybe it's true.
Yes.
Right. That so it brings some credibility to some of the things that I know as a child and growing up, I hid because I didn't understand it, and the people that were raising me didn't understand. And so
Right.
I didn't want to be put, quite frankly, into a straitjacket. One of the things that you
Yeah.
mentioned was, am I creating this for my benefit or for your benefit? And I would say it should be for no benefit. And what I thought of as you were talking about that is I have some friends who are evolving very quickly right now, and they will put some amazing things out there on the internet. And I'll go to respond and I hear, no, back off. This is their journey. Don't put your energy into it. Even that, sometimes I don't respond and say, that's awesome or great, glad you're going to. None of that. I hear, leave it, let it lie, let it lie. This is theirs, right? It's not my job to give them validation either. So it was very, very interesting.
Yeah.
These messages that I get about when to engage and when not to engage. At one point, and then I want to head it back to you. I was sitting with my daughter and I was doing this back and forth thing, right? Especially with her. Your daughter, you want to help her, right? And I'm getting stop, right? And she's like, what is going on? Like I must have looked like I was spastic or something, right? And so I said to her, I said, I want to be very careful not to put my opinion or my perspective out there, because this is not my journey. This is your journey. I want to be sure that I'm just holding space for you to explore freely in, right? And even when she asks for advice, I'm very careful by saying, this is how I would do it. And then I would end it with, but I'm not sure that that's the right thing for you. Right?
Yeah.
Because it's your life, it's your experience, it's your energy. So it's very interesting. Yet I can coach. I'm not here to coach her. That's it. That's the thing.
Yeah, and I think that it's hard. It's hard, especially when it's our children or we're invested. It's really hard not to say, wow, I have these insights, but they came to us at the time they came to us, and for me, it came way later in life than I would have thought. But that is how it was meant to be. I had to do what I needed to do to get to where I needed to go, and so that's one thing I would really share with people is it's never too late, and you wake up when you're supposed to, and you can get locked into these doctrines and these certain ways of thinking because you need to be challenged. You have to be challenged, But I will tell you that there was a time when I did get locked into a doctrine that I did tell my daughter something, and she just said, Mom, are you effing nuts?
Good for her.
It was great because I needed to hear that, because I was like, wow, my kids have been anchors sometimes when I was like, I can see how it's easy to get caught up in certain ways of thinking. We can be vulnerable, especially when we're seeking wisdom. And I think a lot of us are seeking that wisdom. And I've really learned there's some truth in many religions, and
Some
so
truth in everything.
Yes, and it pulls you in. It pulls you in, and then you're like, "Oh no!" And then sometimes you get so wrapped up, and then something has to break so you can see, "No, that's not," And you just hope that that happens in this lifetime. At least I'm glad it did for me because I was just
Yeah.
like, "Wow!" Now everything I look at, Gail, is like, "Okay, this is the evolution of my soul." So this is to me, it's not just about this lifetime. It's not just about these experiences. It's like, what do I want to accomplish for myself? What do I want to learn? And where do I want to go? And yeah, it's like a new beginning. It's a rebirth. And I think we can rebirth at any time we choose to.
Any time that we choose to, in any direction that we want to go in. And
Yeah.
yeah, oh, I love this conversation. So back to divinity.
Yeah.
So this whole concept of this experience that we call life, and it's a game, and I try
Yeah.
not to say the game of life because I could be sued. There's a game called life.
Oh.
So it's the game I call life, right?
Yeah.
Right. So just
Right.
not the game that you can buy at the store. But this game that we play, I know that we are energy, right?
Mhm.
And I understand after writing the book, The Journey to Enlightenment, which is about the Kabbalah, and the Kabbalah is how explains how the consciousness became denser and denser and denser and denser to create us. That's what those energy centers are all about, the tree of life, etc. And so in understanding that, I can look at this from their perspective. That makes sense? Okay. But from their perspective. And when I'm able to do that, I see so much that is different than when I'm seeing it from the ego I perspective. So
Yeah.
one of the challenges I had in the past, and not quite so challenged there now, is that ego talking, or is that the higher consciousness talking? Who's
Yeah.
talking? So what are some of the things that you do when you're not sure to figure out which is it? I mean, other than to grab something and scribe.
Right. Right. Yeah. Um, Yeah. I think that one of the things is what I mentioned about saying, is this for me or for them? Especially when I'm talking to someone else. I mean, someone said that to me when I was in my 20s, and that always I've held on to. And I really like that because it really does make you have to check in. Why are you saying it? Who's benefiting from the story? And is it a story that you want validation for? You know, and just asking every morning to come from a place, for me, of the Christ consciousness, which is the higher consciousness, and not from the place of the ego. Checking in, with that, and trying to see from a higher level of clarity. So really, I think thinking about what I say before I say it. What do my words really mean, and what are the intentions behind them? And coming back into alignment as quick as I can. Because we're not going to always be, or at least me, I'm not going to always be in alignment. I have to be conscious about that, or maybe at some point I will be. That would be great. But right now, one of the things I really like Cindy Eddington said, and I want to ask her if it's okay, because I've been saying this, but I've been giving her credit because she said it and I love it. As it's a process, it takes patience, and you have to be persistent. I love that. Just recognizing, even from the whole looking at the place from, am I coming from the ego? It's a process to be aware of, even if you're coming from the ego. What is that? What does that even mean? So am I coming from a place that's just out to benefit me and get me, somewhere further ahead? Or am I coming from a place of love, compassion, kindness, wisdom, and then realizing that is, I have to be patient with myself too, to realize the discernment, about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and discernment about other people too and what they're telling me, not being so vulnerable, but really, does it resonate with me? Is this my truth if I'm going to take it into my own consciousness? And then realizing I have to be persistent with that.
And
This is the
patience,
devotion. Yes,
compassion for yourself.
compassion. Yes. And I like to think of the stuff as I don't want to do a ritual. I'm not about that. I'm not about going to a church or doing anything because it's a ritual, because I just show up and do it. It's a devotion. It's an honoring of myself and my love for the collective. And so doing that every day is showing up as much as I can authentically and in my own integrity, and trying to be aware about whether or not the choices I'm making are in alignment with that, which to me is flow. So the other day I was really feeling out of flow. I was like not feeling energized or good. And I'm like, what is going on? And I came up with this equation. And I said to myself, what is flow? It is integrity plus authenticity. Integrity being 100% truth, and authenticity being fully aware of my belief systems outside and internally that are being affecting my behavior. And that is what equals my flow. And that's what equals my evolution. And so
So
that's what I'm going on.
I wrote a book. I have a keynote called Crafting the Flow Formula.
Very cool.
Okay. And I created a formula because I was giving the keynote to leaders that were in technology, right? So it wasn't spiritual leaders, it was business, leaders.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so how do I teach them flow? They understand formulas, which is exactly what you said. So I thought that was hilarious. And the formula is, the first one is your emotional state, your intention, right? The
Yeah. I
second
love
one,
it.
so you got your emotional, no, you got your emotional state, you've got your intention, and then you have your daily rituals.
Mm.
The three of them together, right, gets you as a leader in touch with your flow.
Yeah.
And the only way that you can then lead a team into flow is for you to come from flow. Right? Because you can't make your team go into flow. You have to show up in flow. And then I give some examples of my leadership style in flow and how my teams work in flow. So I thought that was, you said formula. I'm like, I wonder if she has intentions, she has emotional state in there, right? Add daily routines and you've got my formula, baby.
I love it. I love it. Beautiful.
So that's what synchronicity is all about. We've never talked about it. You didn't even know that I had that book out there. And you are saying exactly the same thing that I have been saying, right?
I love it. I love it. And like you said, it gives validation too. Not that you needed it, but it's like, woo, yes.
Yep. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And it's just thinking, like you said, what makes, when I'm in that, what makes me be in that, and I think that it is so important just daily to try to maintain that as much as you can, and to recognize when you're not, when you're not being, like you said, when you're jerking back with your daughter.
Right.
I love that.
And then it's okay. Like, we talked about giving yourself grace. Right? Sometimes you're just not having a good day.
Yes.
And one of the things that I've observed with, I call what we do light workers, right? Light workers, is there's a little bit of shame hidden because, well, I'm not making a lot of money doing what I do, or I don't have the following that, I think I should have, or I'm not making an impact that I think I should be making. First of all, that's ego talking.
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
So there. And that gets in the way of the flow. Right. But we will go there because, ego is quietly whispering all the time. Right. And so then allow yourself, okay, so I slipped. Franco, who's the gentleman that I love working with, said, Well, sometimes we fall asleep, Gail. Right? I fall asleep sometimes too. Right? Then it's time to wake up again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I love that, I've thought about ego a lot, and I think ego's a reflector too. So
Mhm.
ego is reflecting to us who we are. It's like, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Do you want to be this or do you want to be that? And like with my book, someone said, well, how many have you sold? And the thing is if it triggered one person, and I know it has because the person got a hold of me, you
Right.
know, then that book was worth me writing it.
Right.
It's like if that book helped anyone on their evolutionary path be validated, honored, then it was worth it. It's like,
Yeah.
so I think that's really important. I think so often, we get caught up in the materialism, like you said, in the ego,
Yeah.
about our importance. But really, our importance is about what we're doing to be the reflection of what we want to see in the world. And that's where we got to come from.
Right.
So I
And that's
really like,
love.
yeah, love. It's
That's love.
all about love. I
Yeah.
mean, it all comes back to love.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. So the Beatles were right. All we need is love.
All we need is love. I've been playing that song lately. It's like, and if you listen to the words, it's beautiful because in there it just says you can't give anything or create anything that's not already been given and created. It's already there. It's
There.
already there. All the answers are within. They
Right.
already are. It's just the remembrance and the waking up to it.
And that's why this is an awakening. And I don't call my process of ascending. I call it
Mhm.
awakening,
Mhm.
right? Because I'm not higher than you. I'm just more, I see more than you. So I'm more
Yeah.
awake than you, right?
Yeah.
Um, my favorite, and I have to thank Catherine Tague for this. Catherine, I'll give you credit for this analogy. It is the process that we have to go through is through a darkness more
Yeah.
than once. Every time that we go up a notch, wake up a notch, we have to go through some pain of some sort.
Yeah.
It could be a
Yeah.
nanosecond or it could be 6 months.
Mhm.
And the reason I'm no longer afraid of the pain is because it's darkness. And when I'm in a room and I shut off the light, I can't see a thing.
Right.
But if I sit quietly for a minute, my eyes adjust. And that's why I say, lean in,
Yeah.
right? Take the resistance and put it aside because that's the pain. The resistance is the pain,
Yeah.
not the ugliness that you think is ugly. That's ego judging of who
Right.
you are and what you've done. I will share with clients some of the horrific things I've done in my life so that they know that if I can forgive that, then you
Mhm.
can forgive as well,
Yes.
right?
Yes. No, absolutely. I think one of the hardest things is to forgive ourselves.
Yeah.
I really do. I know that's been one of the hardest things for me, and we all deserve that forgiveness. We
Right.
all deserve it. And we're all forgivable. And it doesn't matter. We all are forgivable. We're all learning. And, to me, life is the process of growing and evolving. And you're not going to do that if there's no dark times. I mean, there's just not. That's the catalyst. That's what's pushing you, just like pushing the caterpillar through all the goo to awaken to the butterfly, and the seed that's got to push up through the dirt. We all
Lotus
have
coming through
to,
the
yes.
mud.
Absolutely. We all have to be birthed into each moment of ourselves becoming more.
Right.
And we wouldn't do that if we didn't have experiences that made us have to do it, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so,
It's springtime right now. And
mhm,
I go out in the morning and then again in the afternoon, and sometimes even more than that because I have to walk the dog.
yeah.
Thank you, dog. And so what I've noticed is in the morning, the spring flowers are a little bit. In the afternoon, they are significantly grown.
Yeah.
That's how fast. And today I'm like, oh, look at that one has the little buds opening, right? And
Yes.
so just watching this process happen that looks in my eyes like nothing is happening. And yet, because I have those moments of blanks in between, and I can see the
Yeah.
change drastically, I can see the change. And that is the beauty of us. I don't
Mm.
see the change. Let's face it, guys, just take a year. And in January, what were you thinking? And December, when you look back, what happened?
Yeah.
So much happened. And yet day after day, it's like you think it's the same old, and it's
Hmm.
not. Even if you're in a rut, it's not. Because the
Right.
world around you is going to change, even if you don't,
Yes.
right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I do think we have times like when he said you fell asleep, we have times in our lives where it's like we are asleep for a long period, and some of the suffering we are causing ourselves. There's a lot of self-suffering and a lot of self-obsession. There is, until there's not. I mean, until we finally say, no, I'm done, and that's what's going to push us into becoming something different. But
Oh,
like you said, the world is still going around, the world's still changing, it's still evolving, and it's going to, continue to be like that for eternity.
and it's going to push you. It's going to push you. Um,
Hmm.
so one of the thoughts that came to mind, what happens to a lot of people is you become addicted to your whatever, right?
Hmm.
So those who are I'll give an example. Years ago, when I was first in business, I would have coffee with a bunch of women before going to work, and they were one-upping themselves on who
Hmm.
has the worst situation.
Oh
They
no.
were one-upping themselves up on their pain. Like,
Hmm.
oh, my sciatica kicked in today. That's I hurt my knee and I need a cast, right? I mean, up and up. And I had nothing, right? So I was observing and
Yes.
thinking, what are you doing with this group? Right? This is
Hmm.
what I'm thinking. This is sick. Right? Right? They are loving their pain.
Hmm.
They're addicted to those painful stories.
Yes.
And to them, that validates their existence. Now, this is right. And so for me, I mean, I'm addicted. I'm addicted to expanding,
Hmm.
right? That's my addiction right now,
Yeah.
right? We all have these moments of addictions that maybe are not healthy. I was
Yeah.
addicted to the abandoned child for a long
Hmm.
time before, I woke up to, well, no, you're not really abandoned.
Hmm.
Right. Right. And then going through all of that forgiveness. And so we're addicted
Yeah.
to our stories, we're addicted to our pain, we're addicted to our anger, right?
Yeah.
And so when you recognize that,
Hmm.
right, it's not always that easy to step out of it. I was
Right.
addicted to the what I call the victim, savior, perpetrator triangle. And I could do a whole thing on that.
Hmm.
Getting out of that, being aware is step one.
Yes.
Changing that was painful,
Yes.
painful, and very, very difficult because the person that I saw as a victim was not getting out of it. And so as I left, they became angrier and angrier.
Hmm.
I was separating from that
Yes.
triad, right?
Yes.
And that happens to a lot, guys, this is going to happen when you wake up.
Hmm.
People are going to get angry with you. People are going to
Yes.
get frustrated with you. People are going to say, what? You're losing your mind. What are you doing? Are you following a cult? Right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. No, yes. And I think that one of the really important things is just to hold on, because stepping into your integrity is going to make a lot of people unhappy. It just will, and that's part of the process. It's part of your own evolution too, to realize that it's okay if other people are angry. It's okay if other people don't get you. I have a sign by the Velveteen Rabbit. It really impacted my life when I was in my teen years. And it says in there, real can never be ugly except to those people who don't understand. Your realness is never ugly, only to people who don't understand who you are. But
Right.
keep becoming, because it will lead you to magic. It will lead you to such a higher level of consciousness about who you are and your own evolution. But you're right, Gail. It's hard. It's very hard to step into that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they don't want to know the truth and they don't want to wake up. Some people want to stay asleep.
And that's
You know?
fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. But
Yeah.
those people can no longer be in my story because I
Sure.
don't want to co-create
Yep.
with that energy.
Exactly.
Right. And if you're in my circle,
Mhm.
then I am protecting myself from that co-creation. How is that in integrated communication if I feel I have to block and mirror
Right.
you away in order
Yeah.
to have your energy be part of who I am? Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if people wanted to get in touch with you, how
Yeah.
would they do that? In a little blurb about your book.
Okay, thank you. So yes, you can email me at soul energy, and it's with 2 E's on the end of energy, at gmail.com, or you can also reach me at my website, soulenergy.com. And I do have a book. It's called It Will Come to You, The True Truth of Who You Are. This is a channeled book. And so, oh my God, you got it. Oh my God, have you had a chance to read it?
I've gone through some of it. Yes. It's beautiful.
Yay.
It's beautiful.
Thank you, Gail. Thank you. Oh, I'm so loving being on here with you today and talking with you. The message really is, and my main message right now is all about the oneness. It really is. That we are a collective. We can't separate from each other. It does not work. It doesn't matter how much you try. It's not possible. And so I love what you said, Gail, about being the reflection, because for me, what we can do to help humanity at this time is to reflect love in everything you do, and reflect love to the earth. Because she is a sentient being. She is raising her vibrations and she needs all the love we can give her, and she deserves it. She houses us. She feeds us. She's amazing, nurturing, loving. And I just can't speak enough about the earth and sending
We
love there
created
too.
her. So wouldn't
Yes.
we want to love her?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yes, exactly. We've created all of it and each other. So, sending out the love, reflecting that in the world, I think is so critical. And to know we're not alone. I mean, the love is there walking with us. Our guides and spirit and higher consciousness and awareness is surrounding us at all times. And it's endless, so don't limitations impede creations. Don't put any limits on yourself.
Go
When I
for
went
it.
to Brazil and I channeled this book in 20 days and I had it written and edited and out in 4 months. I don't know how I did it. I just did it. You just do, because you get going and you just keep moving forward. And the message is, yeah, it's all about the love. And that's what's going to raise the consciousness and humanity and create a more evolved existence for all of us.
And
So I hope that wasn't too much.
change your life dramatically. And the information to get in touch with her will be in the show notes. So don't worry about that. Everybody, Thank you so much. Thank you, Tina, for being here. Thank you for listening to the Empowering Process podcast. If this resonated with you, please give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions, put them in the show notes. We'll get back to you. If you know someone who could benefit from this, and I bet you do, share it out to them. And as always, do subscribe so you know when the next episode is available. Thank you. Bye, Tina.
Thanks, Gail. All my love to you. Bye, honey.
Thank you for listening to the Empowering Process podcast. Be sure to visit Gail at gailcraft.com to learn more about how she serves thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and goal seekers. And remember, if you like this broadcast, be sure to share and subscribe so you don't miss an episode.